Welcome to the NLC Fall Open, brought to you by MasterCard, El Giganten, and Corsair. My name is Colleen, and joining me on the desk is Goldborg and Giovanna. Gentlemen, welcome. There were 16 teams, and there are only 8 left, Goldborg.
I mean, for sure, it's been a tough journey to get here at this point. I think we had some fairly good and decent team that's already out that had a tougher battle, but I also think that from the beginning, there were some that just had the level through the qualifications, and then they just met superior teams, which is some of the 8 teams we are going to be witnessing today.
From those 8 teams, Jamada, are your favorites still in?
Yes, I think unfortunately they're playing each other in the quarters, so it's tough, but it's how draws end up happening occasionally. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think regardless, we still end up in most worlds with a pretty banger final, though.
Yeah, and I think a lot of things are tough. Also, that your fantasy league has, well, it's not open anymore, so you can't fill it in anymore, but you can still join it for the raffle, where you can find these awesome giveaway from Corsair. All these nice gear. It looks really good. You can join in as well. You can find us on nlc.esports1.com, where you can join in on the fun. Yeah, because it's going to be fun today. We are in the quarterfinals. There are only 8 teams left. There's a lot of things happening. And one of those things is also happening on the socials, which I need to mention, which is the play of the day, where you can join in, show us the plays that you find worth mentioning. And today, there's 10 people winning 2,800 RP. What would you do with 2,800 RP, Goldborg?
I don't know. I actually have 0 RP on my account. I literally told Riot to remove it because I don't do skins anymore. I used to be so obsessed with it. But if I could, I guess some Rakan skins. You gotta shine on your main champion.
Jamada, for you, what do you do with the 2,800 RP?
I've got all the skins I kind of want, so I'll probably end up gifting like almost all of it away. Yeah.
I mean, the holidays are coming, so that might be a good idea as well.
Yeah, there you go. Early Christmas.
Let's look into the standings, because at least what has happened the week before, because there are only 8 teams left once again. Today we'll see 2 best of 3s between Barrage and Trick Esports, and then today as well, Dusty and Viking Esports still taking on each other. And Dusty and Viking Esports, Yamada, as what I've been told, is what I've seen so far, is kind of a mismatch on all levels.
Yeah, it's going to be a really uphill battle for Viking to really take Dusty down in this one. Realistically, I think that they're going to have to pull some kind of magic out of the bag to, in reality, even take 1 game off of Dusty. Taking 2, I think, is a really monumental task, but hey, maybe they surprise all of us. We all unanimously think Dusty are going to win, and I think rightfully so. But, you know, yeah. League of Legends is League of Legends, so maybe Viking do surprise us, but I think there's very low hopes there for them.
Yeah, let's put our eyes on the first matchup now at first, because it's going to be Barrage and Trick. They're going to be fighting each other. These are the 2 favorites coming into the tournament, Goldberg, and now they are facing each other and maybe even facing elimination today.
Yeah, I mean, one of them are for sure out today, and it's crazy that it's already the stage is, as you rightfully mentioned, coming into this. These 2 teams were the tournament favorites from the last NLC. These rosters stuck together, albeit that Barrage gathered the Riddle roster, and Trick, of course, still staying together. And that plays a huge part when you're talking about these kind of off-season tournaments, just because that people don't get enough time to practice to actually identify their style as a team, and that's what gives these team the advantage. So it's crazy to see that one of them today is already going to be out.
Yeah, and I want to focus a bit more on Barrage at first, Goldberg. I want to talk with you about that team, because what you told me is like they're focused on their solo laners, and Maxi's the one who's going to enable that.
Yeah, and it's actually their solo laners are so mechanically gifted. We're talking about Doxy and former NLC player Senkux, right? They use a tremendous high pressure in lane. Senkux love playing these global champions as well, like Twisted Faith and Galio, and that just enables Maxi. The pressure you get through the solo laners, so they can play around their jungler Maxi and just enable him on the map, essentially gives them so many early game leads in the early game. One of the things sometimes, hindering these early game leads might be the bot lane testing limit every now and then. I feel like that when they are having a really good day, the bot lane of Barrage are really at their peak and playing well. But if they're having a bad to average day, we might see some limit testing. I can probably guarantee that.
Joanna, looking at the importance of these lanes, I mean, we talk a lot about mid and jungle synergies. But bot lane is something we don't really touch upon at all, which is kind of weird because I mean the Drake is over there. That's an objective you want to fight around a lot. If you have a bot lane that is looking for those limits, I mean you're kind of giving up on objectives there. It feels like.
Yeah, it can kind of be tough. I think that it's more to do, this meta is so jungle dependent that you end up then having to rely on mid. So then, you know, teams are going to vary on, okay, who's our stronger side player-wise, right? Is it our solo laner in the top side, or is it our bottom lane as two players? And a lot of times there's been a lot of debate throughout the season. Okay, is it viable to give up, you know, the first dragon, the first two dragons, trade it for Herald, things like that. So yeah, dragon is important, but the first, you know, two, because they only spawn once, you're not getting many stats. So you can trade it for things like jungle camps on the top side, a Herald if you're lucky, a dive maybe on the top lane. So yeah, dragons are important in the early stages if you're trying to stack them, you know, if you're running really early game based comps, but they're not always a necessity.
And that's the thing, right? The comps in general, most of the time, some of these scaling compositions we get is usually what we'll see from these teams. We always say it ourselves, easy to execute team fighting composition. It works best on an ERL level. It's just fact at this point you need to be really good to actually get the macro in there as well, which some of these teams, the two teams we are seeing today, is really good at. But most of the time we will see scaling compositions where giving up the first two drakes, really no big deal if you can get an advantage at the other side of the map, get that dive down, counter jungle all the opposing junglers camps. As Jamada mentioned, it is very jungle focused, this meta.
Yeah, because now focusing on Tricked as well for a bit, Jamada here. It's a team, well, I got the idea you were a bit of a fan of Tricked.
Yes.
As we were talking about prior to the show.
Yeah, I got the chance to work with the head coach Pad, Jungler Soft, and then also the AD carry Archer in Spring. Lovely bunch. But yeah, I think that this roster, the team in general, is such a macro-based team. You know, I think when you see, Gullborg knows because they're the Danish org as well. You know, when we see the best League of Legends, or when we saw the best League of Legends come out of the NLC, it was normally tricked with that macro. Like, they really, really impressed. And we saw also last week on the final day in their elimination match, they managed to fall behind maybe 4,000 or 5,000 gold by a really early time too, maybe 15 minutes into the game. And they clawed that back practically through sheer macro alone. Like, they gave up early dragons, they were always trading, they always made sure that if they were losing something, they were taking something back in return, and it gave them the actual ability to come back in later on. And I think that's kind of the difference make between Tricked and, well, almost any team that played in the tournament so far, is their understanding of League of Legends seems to be that much higher than like almost everybody else in the tournament. So it's really hard to drive them into a hole unless you've really just screwed them across the map.
So correct me if I'm wrong, looking at this best of three between Barrage and Tricked, it's all going to be about those solo laners. Is Tricked able to keep the snowballing a bit down here, Gullborg? I mean, that's what I'm picking up here, hearing you guys talk about these two teams.
I think it comes down to, as you said, like for Barrage, it's very much about the solo laners. It's the pressure there. But as we also mentioned, that if you are going to attack a side of Barrage, it's going to be the bot lane. And luckily for them, they got the Danish Dynamite dude down there with PlayStation and Archu. Yeah, I did that. And obviously with Soft, I think Soft for me has always been the biggest question mark of Trick. When he's at his peak, when he's doing well, he's just straight up carrying the team. Like, he is enabling and facilitating them in every way, form, and shape that they need to be facilitated in. But when he's not having a good day and he's lacking, you can see that lacking on the map as well. It's really easy for opposing teams to take over the map. It's really easy for them to enable the dives onto your laners. So for me, the biggest thing that Trick needs to focus on today is the early game, keeping Soft relevant so he can keep his laners relevant. Because if you fall prey to a snowballing against Barrage, yeah, it might net you a comeback against some of the teams like Nordavind, but I think that you need to be really careful with the lead you give away against a team like Barrage.
Yeah, so to conclude this, Barrage are the flashy players. They're going to look for the limits, they're going to look for the kills, they're going to make the flashy plays. Trick might, I mean, I hope they will show us like how you play competitive League of Legends. They'll be, I mean, a bit slower, but they will be using the scaling champions. We'll see. But talking about champions, Jamada, we are playing on patch 10.21. It's a bit different from last week where we were in 10.19. What are the huge differences in this patch?
I think almost all of the S tier junglers got hit in a really small way. Now, you know, some of the changes for me, I think they don't really change a whole bunch of priority, particularly something like the Graves change where he's only getting a little less armor on the grit. But I think that this could make room for Lilia to sort of rise from sort of S- to maybe even S+, like outright just be the best jungler on the patch at the moment. So I think that in terms of jungle, that's where things lie. A lot of the lanes, though, they didn't really change. I don't think there was really too big of a hit on any of the prior AD carries. I think everything sort of remains almost the same. It's just that some, between Barrage and Tricktail, for example, the priority in Lilia might be a little bit different.
Yeah, and I also think that in terms of the 3 S-tier junglers we've been mentioning, we had Kindred, Nidalee, and Graves, and also Hecarim sneaking in there. Nidalee was the only one who really took a hit to the clear. Yeah, Hecarim's devastating charge did get a nerf as well, but his Q is still up there. His clear speed is still there, while Nidalee with the base damage nerf, that is something that can hit you. That might be 1 or 2 extra auto attacks you sometimes need on a camp. And yeah, you might think that's only 2 autos, but sometimes that clear speed is exactly what we need, especially in a high-tempo jungle meta this is, with champions and Kindred like Graves that we've seen been at the top for the past week.
Are you expecting any surprises, Goldborg, when it comes to drafting? Because you guys told me that teams are mostly likely going to go for comfort picks.
Yeah, I think that Barrage will go for comfort pick, but I think with Tricked and Drafts, you can never be too sure about these guys. This is the team that chose to pick Camille support to flex Shyvana top lane, who eventually had to play Shyvana top lane with Ignite Teleport against the Syndra and a Galio against Renekton. So sometimes the flex can be really good, but sometimes the flex is just too flexed, if that makes sense. And it kind of ends biting them in the bum. So I think for Tricked, you can't expect anything from them. They might bring anything out of that hat.
Jawad, any thoughts from your side on this?
Yeah, I mean, with Tricked, like Goldborg says, sometimes they can be really out there with drafts, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like I recall they were the only team to run a Zir top during the regular season. I can't remember whether it won, but they did it and it looked cool either way. So, Pad in particular, he's known for wacky drafts like this. He does crazy stuff. So maybe they've prepped something that is going to shock us here, but I would more or less kind of expect them to not go for anything crazy after that Camille, Shyvana debacle. I think they're more likely to stick to meta so that they can actually play the League of Legends that they know they want to play.
Yeah, you said something about shocking things, and talking about shocking things, let's get into the predictions, because the biggest shocker here, Jamada, is your prediction for this best of 3.
Yes. I didn't want to be the only one. I mean, I wanted to be the only one that voted for Trick because everyone else wanted Barrage to win or has predicted Barrage to win. And to be honest, I think, like we said, Barrage, Tricked, probably the 2 best teams in the tournament right now, closely followed by Dusty. So, if there's a team that can beat Barrage, in my eyes, it's Tricked. If Barrage win here, I just see them going all the way to finals. And it's kind of as simple as that in my eyes.
Well, that's a whole nother discussion. Let me just say that the predictions doesn't really do this series justice. Like, this could easily go Trick's way as well. It's the most competitive one, but I think the most of us are just counting of the experience and level we've seen from Barrage.
Yeah, we're gonna get ourselves ready for that first game between Barrage and Tricked, and as you've heard here, it's gonna be a very interesting one. These 2 teams, it's a good match. You don't want to miss this. We'll head on over to a break, but when we come back, it's time for the pick and ban between Barrage Esports and Tricked Esports.
I gotta to our dreams that color bright like autumn leaves. Not looking back, we're not afraid to fly. We're forever young and we'll never die. We're one step closer to our dreams that burn as bright as we can see. We're gonna jump out, climb so high we reach the top of the endless sky. Bloodshot eyes, another ocean opens wide. Our love is sick but still alive. Then all our hearts would radiate and melt the sadness we create. Only then could we survive. Let's turn singing, hey, hey.
Welcome back to the NLC Fall Open. We're getting ourselves ready for the first best of 3 of tonight. It's going to be Barrage and Trick. And I mean, there were a lot of esports in there, but I will not mention them again because it's Triggers Goldberg, apparently.
I can see the logo now, and I'll swallow my pride. I can see that is Barrage Esports versus Trick Esports. But you know.
Okay, heading into pick and ban, Jamana, we spoke a bit about what we were expecting. We talked about Lilia priority. And I think it's good to know that Barrage has picked blue side, and I find that pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see not only what Barrage are looking to prio for their first pick, but also whether Tricked are gonna be like, if they're gonna be not necessarily tricked. Oh, I didn't want to use that word, but if they're gonna end up banning TF from red, because obviously this is a champion that Senkax really loves, and it's a champion that enables Senkax to do Senkax things. So it's a really it's a very contested pick between both of these teams. And I'm looking towards Strict really to see if they're willing to remove it or if they're willing to play versus it and play something like the Galio or Silas in response.
And I like that we're seeing some of these easy to execute champions already being banned as well. I think that from the power picks of junglers, Hecarim are one of the easier one to pilots as well, together with Dion now going out the table. But that also means that Barrage not the kind of team that wants to first pick Dion. They have something else prepared, and they don't want Tricked Esports to get Dion in return then.
I mean, the Graves ban is something you talked about a bit as well. I mean, once again, we are on patch 10.21, so Graves had that little nerf that Jamana mentioned as well. But still, it's being seen as quite the threat here, Jumana.
Yeah, I mean, Maxi's played, I think, 4 out of his 5 games so far in the actual Open itself on Graves. So I think the only time he's divoted from it was on the Nidalee. And I mean, we're seeing Lilia, by the way, here. It's the other champion I was talking about as maybe this is going to be the next highly contested jungler because of all of the nerfs. And I mean, Tricked want the Camille gone. So I wonder if this is just saying, all right, Barrage, throw down the gauntlet. We want you to pick Twisted Fate first.
Yeah, and now I'm just wondering, like, Lilia out, Graves out, Hecarim out, what's left?
Wow.
Kindred's left, Nidalee's left, Lee Sin's left, but they opt for the Kindred goal board.
I think this is interesting just because that I don't think you needed to priority max it this high here. I think that the Twisted Faith is way too dangerous in Aaron's hand, specifically because we've talked about this. Aaron is the kind of player that likes playing these global champions as well. He likes to get out of the map. He likes to be facilitating. And the way he uses this Destiny on Twisted Faith, as Jamada mentioned, it's not always just to get a gank down. Sometimes it's just to get vision around the map to know what is the next macro step we're going to be taking. And that is also why he's so dangerous with this Twisted Faith, because it's no longer about him, it's about the whole team and how they play on the map.
Yeah, and I'm wondering whether Senkox is gonna just outright take Galio / the Silas here because of the Twisted Fate first pick. As in, I think they divot into the Kindred because they know that the Galio sort of plays well around it, and they expect Trick to obviously prioritize the champion. And of course, we're also now seeing Archu get his hands on the Jhin and Barrage. I mean, they want the Leona as well, which of course we've seen as a really high prio blind pick. So that's what we've gone for here. And I mean, seems like we're just gonna see Senkox on the Orianna instead.
Yeah, you guys brought up the point of Barrage picking up the comfort picks. Do you see the comfort picks coming back now with the Leona blind pick here? The Orianna locked in now as well, Goldborg?
Yeah, this is definitely something we also like to see from Barrage, because sometimes we'll see them try and skill check composition and it just goes wrong because that macro perspective, or sometimes when they try limits too hard, kind of bites them in the back. But when they get onto champions like Leona, Orianna, where you can just shine through your individual team fighting skill, it really just shows how powerful of a team that Barrage can actually be.
And seeing Lee Sin locked in makes me pretty happy because I like playing the champion. But it's also pretty good into the Kindred, Jamada.
Yeah, of course, you can kick whoever you want out of the Lambs respite, whether it's the Kindred or another champion. So the Lee Sin works really well. And it seems like Tricked are going to be looking to potentially sort of play either into a 1-3-1 style sort of in the mid game to late game, but specifically potentially for this 2v2 in the mid lane with this Lee Sin pick. And that being said as well, soft champion pool sometimes can be like a bit of an issue. You think about he's only really shown sort of like the Hecarim, the Graves, I think maybe, and then the Lee Sin, and that's kind of it. So with the Kindred out as well, actually he had a really bad game on Kindred early on in the tournament.
Yeah.
But God, I just remembered that. But yeah, with all of those junglers down, Lee Sin makes the most sense. So I'm happy to see him on his tried and tested comfort champion. And I like both the removes away here, the Gangplank and the Mordekaiser. We saw Mordekaiser as a response to the Camille and the Twisted Fate. So I want to see what Tricked are going to be looking to take for their top laner. So probably I'd expect that as R5, but their support pick here.
Yeah, for sure. Just, you don't need to worry about top lane yet. You can just wait to get the actual counter pick on the red side here. And you can already see PlayStation. There's some respect to what's his name here with the Thresh ban as well. Obviously, Thresh, a champion that's really good in the laning phase into Leona because you can play the Zenith Blade. And then they actually get rid of Malphite here. So I think they just realized that PlayStation without no threat, or PlayStation is no longer a threat in the bot lane. He can pick whatever support he wants to, and we'll get rid of one of the weak siders here with the Malphite. Cyan's still up as a tank if you want to pivot into that one, but we can see that probably the support pick coming through.
Yeah, I think we see Set here. I think they probably take this as sort of a flex, or they just want a full safe side bot. That works too. I'm gonna see PlayStation running the Tahm Kench. I don't think I've seen him play it on stage before, so gonna be definitely interesting. They want to just play defensively against this Leona.
Yeah, because the Tahm Kench also provides a lot of safety or Goldborg before that all-in for Leona.
Yeah, but I feel like just PlayStation in general, this is the guy who flashed on the tower to just die with Set. So seeing him on the champion, it's like, it's not what you're used to with PlayStation. I'd give him the Braum pick back in the days, but oh my god, how did Ezreal just go through this one as well? That is just Ray's power pick. I completely forgot about that. So you asked me earlier, Kulin, is this the priority or this comfort pick we have on Barrage? And yes, for sure we got comfort on them now. Ray is known for his Ezreal, Leona for Vendelboy is perfect, Doxy and Kindred, and of course Senkox and Orianna. This is looking really nice for Barrage so far. Speaking of comfort as well, Dox is nah.
Wow.
The response we're gonna get now, what is needed on the side of Trick here, Jamada, to, I mean, kind of disable this comp that Barrage has drafted so far?
They need a split pusher, and I'm not sure what Weasel's realistically going to take, because when you run the TF and oh my god,
well, that is kind of a
talking
split
about
pusher.
split pushers. It doesn't get much more split pushy than locking in Fiora. And yeah, I mean, we're just going to probably see an outright 1-3-1. And this is the kind of style that Trick like to play. They like to play the map come the mid game. And it doesn't really... It can't get emphasized any more than running TF, Lee Sin, and a split pusher like Fiora, with a Tahm Kench in the mid lane to try and rotate over to either side.
Yeah, Goldborg, we've spoken a lot about the junglers and the solo layers. What do you expect that's going to happen in the early game for this match?
Well, for me, it's going to be you're just waiting to get 6 onto Aaron and then play around maybe the Twisted Faith in some skirmishes, because you do have good skirmish. The Jhin, Deadly Flourish, Stun Card from Twisted Faith into a lot of base damage from Lee Sin. But what's most interesting to me about Trick Esports is we've known them as a team that likes to play towards the bot side, and finally we're going to see Weisel and Leash. So I'm really excited to see the matchup between Weisel and Doxy here. And you need to keep Aaron down on this Twisted Faith so he doesn't enable the map.
Yeah, it's time for our first game in the best of 3 series between Barrage and Trick. The draft is known, but now it's also need to be known who it's going to be the ones casting it. And luckily, I know I have that information and I can share it with you as well. It's going to be our lovely duo, Ox and Hipray.
Thank you very much, Colin. Surprise, surprise. We're back, baby. Hello, and welcome to the Caster Desk, because we're getting our first best of 3 underway between Barrage and Trick. Ox, talk to me about these comps. What are we liking? What are we disliking? And what are we looking for here?
I mean, I think we've talked a lot about ease of execution. It's kind of been a big talking point over the course of the tournament, and I feel like Barrage have that. But I think Trick have shown that they're a team who can play up to a strength. They can play the map well, and they have tools. You know, you don't want to team fight into Barrage. They have a really strong back line. They have a great front line with Leon and Nar. They have the Kindred to keep their carries safe. So it's kind of out of the question at this point. But you draft a really strong weak side bot lane, and you have TF Lee Sin to play around your Fiora. It's all in on the top side, which is an interesting strategy to take against Barrage. We always talked about the strength of their top side.
Yeah, absolutely. But we are onto the Rift for our first game here. Barrage on the blue, Tricked on the red.
30 seconds until minions.
Really interested by this top lane. I'm really interested by this top lane. Doxy on a champion we know him for. That Gnar plays so well on it. And how is Weasel going to handle this pick on the Fiora? Obviously, as it gets later, Weasel will be a menace in the side lanes in his own right. But I predict the early game might be a little bit harder for him.
Problem is, Doxy is in an unfortunate position because realistically, he can't play the lane how he wants to. Ideally, the Gnar wants to be able to apply pressure to the Fiora, wants to be able to push up the first wave, let it bounce, then freeze, and have his team cover him so that he can just keep the wave there and harass Weasel, and Weasel can't really trade when he's on tower. That's like ideal for the Gnar. Anytime the Fiora tries to jump in, you just jump out. But that isn't really going to happen here, because if Aaron and Soft start coming top lane, if you freeze the wave under the tower, they'll just dive you. Yeah. And if you push the wave out, they'll just gank you. So Doxy really has to play a strong weak side. There may be windows where Maxi and Senkuks can move up, but the problem is as soon as that level 6 is hit, Aaron is going to control the map.
Oh, everybody has started up. Blue side start for both Soft and Maxi. Maxi's a little bit slow on the punch though. Didn't get a leash, crucially. So he's only just finished the blue and is now onto that Gromp. Meanwhile, Soft is already done with his Gromp and starting to head upwards through his jungle, looking probably for a full clear top to bottom. Bottom to top in this case. So we'll be a little bit further ahead on the tempo for now. I have to see where the where the first mark for the Kindred spawns up. Yep. Whether it's going to be on this top side or on the bot side. Maybe we'll see some action there.
He's actually taking a lot of harass in this situation, and if you're low HP, you're actually really vulnerable to dives. So he has to be a bit careful in terms of burning this much HP.
Especially with his position on where that mark currently is. Weasel can easily get that proc, get a bit more healing off, and now it's a little bit more manageable. But yeah, like you said, getting bullied out pretty heavily here. Down in CS, Aaron versus Senkuks are quite happy with each other. Senkuks is Doing a lot here with that clockwork wind up onto Aaron, really chunking him pretty hard. As crab starts are looking to be contested, although Soft actually double bust level 3 in a pretty decent dive position. Doxy has been able to heal up with the help of potions and fleet footwork. So should be all right. As Wonderboy actually jumps in. They do get the gobble off of the Flay Station and they can see if they can turn it around, but it's going to be really hard to lock him down. It looks like the coin flip has paid off for Maxi. And Mark is on the bottom side.
Yeah, he won the coin flip. Looking for another engage here. Flay Station.
Oh, Flay Station is ignited. It just takes one more auto. And Wendelboe finds first blood.
Critical error there. I really love the aggression from Wendelboe. He re-engages when he knows the Grey Health isn't available for Flay Station and the Devour isn't there for him now. So no safety net. And they just go hard. It was actually a bit of a mistake there from Flay Station, trying to hold on to the flash. Should have just flashed before Ezreal did. You know what's going to come in, the flash auto. And he ends up going down with both summoners bin. So, you know, we said this is a good weak side bot lane pickup for Tricked. Not if you start getting 2v2 killed.
Can Aaron get the gold card up? I don't think he has the mana to do so. As Senkux is just looking for him. Will force him to flash back, but Soft follows down. And that's another kill in return here, as it does look like Maxi's trying to see if he can make his way over. The base is coming through. That's greedy by Aaron. You're just going to lose your life, friendo. Maxi summons up the wolf, gets the flash out, and flashes in for his own kill. Dodging out on the Q from Soft as well. Barrage, trade back.
It's so greedy. I mean, honestly, the bait was really nice from Aaron. He baited Senkux so heavily into that gank. There was no way Senkux was getting out. And flash down, perfect scenario. All you have to do is just not recall in a dangerous spot like that. But unfortunately, Aaron goes down. And it's just rough to see when you make a positive play and then it backfires instantly. I will say, however, Maxi doing a good job to clean that kill up.
So they're going to try and pick up this second mark for the Kindred. Soft slides in and is able to... Oh, Maxi. It's had a bit freeze on my screen there. Maxi is able to pick that one up.
That's 2 now for the Kindred. Won the coin flip on the Scuttle and then also able to pick up a mark there. So really solid. I can see Doxy actually getting a pretty low on HP there from trades, and Senkux actually moves up to cover.
Is going to get Doxy to teleport into the lane just to cover it for himself, as Aaron has got the gold card, so we're getting a pretty nice trade-off there as he had the popped up cards. Doxy hops in forward, and that was a little bit too over-eager, my dude. Going to get slowed down, has to flash out. A Soft misses the kick. Doxy able to survive as Wonderboy is making his way over.
Still definitely a misplay from Doxy jumping in there, just way too aggressive. Did manage to dodge away from a Sonic Wave, otherwise he would have certainly been dead. But Doxy not having a good game so far on the North. 15 CS down in his top lane matchup. Now that he's swapped to mid, losing his flash almost instantly and having to recall with TP already down. Not in a good spot by any means.
Senkux is getting a bit of free time there in the top lane. We'll shove a pretty large wave into Wazor. We'll spot out this pink water. Soft is actually doing the crab. That is going to be the third mark denied from Maxi, so to slow him down somewhat as Aaron's got the Destiny. Senkux, remember, is flashless here, so just going to get chased down, locked down as the shockwave will not be enough. Wazor with the riposte will take the kill.
Not really surprised, you know. We kind of said after Aaron hits level 6, it's quite distinctly obvious where he's going to be showing up. Goes top lane, gets a kill for Wazor, so able to get closer to his power spikes. That's the goal of the game. It's pretty simple, pretty cut and dry. But a good start from Tricked to be able to pull that one off. But you see Barrage picking up that early dragon. And one of the difficult things about stacking up these dragons for Tricked is that dragons force fight. You know, if you get to 3 dragons, 2 dragons, there's going to come a point where Tricked have to fight them in a 5v5. And in that scenario, that's where Fiora doesn't really show up. That's where the global pressure off the Twisted Fate is a bit irrelevant, and Barrage's comp is really strong. So early dragons, absolutely massive for Barrage. And ideally, if Tricked want to stick to their game plan, they would hopefully pick up a dragon at some point. Ideally, they'd be able to do it without having to go for a full 5v5.
At the moment, Doxy's just... They're kind of just really giving Doxy the short end of the stick here. Really forcing him into this weak side. Obviously, they are swapping to try and see if they can maybe contest the Rift Herald, because it will be spawning up soon. They've got control of the area, but Doxy is now level 6. Wants to get that Gnar stacked up, but I don't think you're going to get the chance. The teleports come in, and they're bringing everybody to deal with Doxy. Doxy is trying to hop away, trying to get the level 6 in time. Does just about Gnar out. Can go for the Gnar back, but Soft follows through and is able to secure the kill.
A lot of aggression. I was actually going to say that the swap works out because Fiora ends up in a lane 1v2 or 1v3, and then Doxy can try and play weak side, but they TP Wazer in. They are not hesitating at all, and it's very clear that Tricked are sticking to their plan. They get Doxy down. It's not a kill for Wazer, unfortunately, but he's going to pick up a ton of plates here. And Barrage are able to pick up the Herald in return. But overall, in terms of the game plan of playing around the Fiora, Tricked definitely hitting the mark on that one.
Yeah, they are absolutely. Wazel even able to pick up a bunch of plates in the spot side. Got the Tiamat, so he's quite happy holding
I just want
the
to see
wave
the
here.
gold at this point between them because it's going to be substantial with those plates as well. Oh, Wazel
Oh,
looking.
it might be going up a little bit more if Doxy doesn't be a little bit careful, trying to dodge away with the riposte onto some of that CC, but not going to come through his way. He's actually going a little bit low here. Has got flash available. Doxy doesn't. It's going to force him to jump away as the two-shot barrage comes down, and with Soft and with Eren nearby, Wazel plays aggressively but doesn't really get punished for it, so he's going to be okay. I would love to see that gold difference though.
Yeah, we're going to see the buy coming out, but that's a 1,500 gold lead already for Wazel. This early in the game, that is massive. Most gold out of anyone thanks to those plates that were picked up, and it's exactly how you want your Fiora to be. Tricked really able to play through Wazel so far. It's just a matter of continuing that throughout this game. For now, you can see that Barrage make a lot of moves to control this dragon area. Big priority for them to secure these ones, although Soft, it's going to be a bit late to find this one out. Blue buff is going to go down to Maxi.
They're still away the blue buff, but the mark is still up at this Grom. Wendelbo and Maxi are waiting around, and
Yeah, and no smite for Maxi, so I don't think he can take this.
yeah, he tried to contest the blue buff still rather than the mark, and 2 marks on him at the moment. Would much rather have been on that that fourth by now. But
I will say that denying the blue buff from TF is pretty important. If you think about, Eren achieving priority and then rotating to punish Doxy, him not having the blue buff can actually make this more difficult. You can see now his mana is pretty low. So maybe it was more for a team-focused decision, a selfish one for Maxi there. The blue was a more important objective to deny, even though the mark would be better for him.
well, we need to see where this Rift Herald is going to get used and how it's going to get used, because plates already up heavily for Tricked. Well, Barrage have been good on the neutral objectives. They got that Rift Herald. They lost pretty much 3 plate. Well, they lost 3 plates bot lane for the Rift Herald. They're going to summon it out here mid lane, but this won't be first Tower of Blood. They've only been able to take 1 plate before this comes forward. When the teleport with the backup, this could be a little bit dicey. That's the curtain call coming down. as Stoff has already got himself 1. Stenkux will lock down on the side of the fight as Wonderboat also being run down. Ichu gets a great flash off over the shockwave as the blast cone is used. Stenkux delivered to PlayStation, and he's forced to flash away, but there's a ward in the bush. They know where he is. They know they can chase onto him. Deadly Flourish is going to hit. It's not going to be enough to root him. Here comes Soft, slowed down momentarily. A kick is all that is needed, and it is landed. Soft making his way forward into the waiting jaws of Ichu, but Soft will secure it with the kick.
Beautiful play there coming out from the side of Tricked. Just honestly over aggressive and almost disrespectful from Barrage. They just try and walk up and go aggressive on the tower. The Jinol opening up, the flank from Soft and PlayStation. Really nice setup, but unfortunately, low health bars and the wave's not in the right position mean Tricked aren't even going to stop the dragon. Barrage are back up in time to potentially defend this one.
Yeah, and Ichu's now going pretty dangerously low here. Will get gobbled up by PlayStation though to make sure he gets spat out, and that is Ichu out nice and safe. But like you said, Dragon's up, and Ichu's going to have to go to base. There's no way he's going to be able to contest this, so it should just be second Dragon over to Barrage. They do have... No, they don't have the Abyssal Voyage. There's no way they're going to contest this. This is just
Yeah,
Barrage.
I mean, it's TP advantage for Barrage as well, so I think it's the right decision to let this one go. It's just an unfortunate scenario. You win the team fight, you're not able to translate into the Dragon, and now Barrage able to have 2 in the pocket, so definitely puts pressure on for that soul.
Well, there goes TP advantage, but Waysor is able to get himself 2 plates, I believe, here. Although the minions actually do re-aggro, so that is not going to be the case. Let's have a look at this fight once again.
Yeah, so it's just really great engage with Soft coming in on the flank. Not really much that can be done, but it's a nice move here from Ichu to hit the blast cone and force Stenkux to flash over the wall. The collapse, though, was a beautiful thing. That setup with the Abyssal Voyeurs from PlayStation, the ult from Achu, and Soft just walking on the flank really made it impossible for Wendelbo and Maxi to get away from that one.
He's all actually taking a fair amount of damage here from Doxy. Doxy's not going to be able to trade too effectively into him. And Ravenous High just should be coming through fairly soon for Wazor, so we'll be able to have a little bit more lane sustain for himself. It does look like Rai might be getting jumped onto. They've got the Abyssal Voyage. They've got that gold card as Rai has to shift away. Does have flash, but here comes the flash from Aaron. Forces the flash out from Rai. This just buys some space for Tricked to get to these tower plates. So you're going to be able to get one so far. Don't think he's going to be able to trade for more. Soft's going to come over and try and defend, but potentially could get caught out. Has used the kick now, so a little bit of movement denied.
See again, Barrage looking for that mid lane tower. The pings are coming in. Trick not able to make the same play. Soft not on the flank. PlayStation no Abyssal Voyage. They are able to defend that mid lane tower. See Soft and PlayStation moving together. And really, right now from Barrage, it's just kind of damage control. You're just trying to like defend as best you can and try and mitigate the pressure coming out.
Blasken's going to use Wendelbo. That was probably not where you wanted to be. Destiny's been used. The curtain call comes down, and
I'm so confused.
I mean, just really unlucky for him as Maxi is here. Remember, Soft can just kick him out.
Oh,
okay.
that burst.
Soft is just annihilating. It's the lethality Lee Sin. You talked about this last week. We see two types of Lee Sin here. The, oh no, everything's gone right, Knight's Vow build, and the full lethality, you're going to die quicker than you can Lamb's Respite. That's going to be first tower blood in the bot lane. Second tower quick to follow here in the top lane as Wazor throws down the grand challenge onto Doxy. Can't get the movement speed from these marks. One more as he flashes forward trying to find it. Wazor gets a solo kill onto Doxy's main. It is 2-9 to Tricked right now.
I mean, everything's just going better and better for Tricked in this situation. They are finding so much success. Soft is hyper-fed. Wazor is crushing the top lane matchup. And on top of that, they're just able to consistently find picks in this game. The two dragons honestly feels like it doesn't matter. And I know I was saying they're probably going to look to avoid the 5v5s. When they're this fed, they don't need to. And yeah, I mean, Wendelbo was the one who hit the blast cone here. He's the one who opted into this play. And I just really don't understand what the game plan was. The team wasn't there to follow up. But this burst damage here is just almost insane. The Warthog kick into the Q. No opportunity for the ult to come out from Maxi. And I don't think he expected quite so much damage.
No, I don't think he did. Then obviously here in the top lane, Wazor just able to chase onto Doxy and find himself an easy kill. But it looks like there's a bit of a group going on as PlayStation actually will get locked down, forces the heal out. As he uses the stopwatch, as the true shot gets dodged away, PlayStation will lose his life. And now Chu running away from a couple of members, but Wazor making his way over. Here's Soft as the Lamb's Respite has come forward to give a bit of survivability onto one. The Deadly Flourish goes wide, and Wazor, as he is the riposte, the wild card from Eren, will find the kill. 1 for 1, support for support. As the Chu flashes for Rai, not able to find it. Riftail gets summoned and Tricked. They're looking to push on to this turret, maybe for a second here.
I honestly really like the pick coming out from Barrage. I like them taking down PlayStation, but it should have stopped there. They tried to go more aggressive and allowed Trick to respond, and now they've already taken that tier 1 in the mid lane. They actually can just take the tier 2, I think, too. This is a massive blow once again to Barrage.
That's a lot of gold injected into them as well. You can see it's a 6,000 gold lead. And this is, I mean, 80 carry. It's 600 up for the 80 carries. Mid is 1,000 up. Top is, I don't want to talk about it. Wazor is just hard stomping the top lane. He is in for a little bit of hurt here. Does have that riposte, but actually uses it a little bit too early. And Wendelbo just connects the stun. He's out of mana. And Rai's looking to run him down. One last stun will be enough for Rai to find a shutdown. So Ezreal now starting to get himself back into this game, equalizing the gold deficit between him and Achu. No top laner dead as the dragon spawns is a real hindrance to Tricked.
Yeah, this could actually be third dragon for Barrage, which is huge. I felt like this dragon would be the one where Tricked are so far ahead in gold that they're just able to pick this one up. An overstay from Wazor is really costly in this situation. No mana to get away. Gives a shutdown over to Rai, and now, yes, there's a 5,000 gold lead. Yes, Tricked are still in control of this game, but it's going to be a long time before Dragon Soul goes in their favor. And honestly, if Barrage managed to get a steal on this Mountain Dragon, it can really give them a lot of stats to help them get back in this game.
This gives them survivability versus Soft and Wazor. Really nice for them. And question is, are they going to be able to get the next one in 4.5 minutes when it comes up? Are they going to be able to contest it? Because that came off the back of Wazor playing a little shovelly there, kind of overextending, overreaching, and paying the price.
Thing is, I don't think it really matters if they get the next one. It just matters that Tricked are really far away from getting their stall. And as long as Barrage can stall the game out and wait for an opportunity, their scaling is pretty good. They're not too concerned about this game going later. The only major concern is that Fiora in the side lane. But realistically, things are already bad. It's not like they can get much worse at this point.
Doxy able to find out Wazor and clear out this ward as the wave's pretty far shoved for Wazor. Doesn't want to overstay this time. As it looks like Tricked are collapsing downwards. Have been spotted out on a ward. This PlayStation gets slowed down for the moment. Squire comes through a little bit late, and Doxy pretty close to that Gnar out. Finding himself in the jungle is probably not the best place. He does instantly get just CC'd down. Has got the Deadly Flourish to try and sustain, but the True Shot Barrage is enough to get the kill. The Curtain Call is pretty awkwardly placed, meaning Doxy's going to be the only one to take it. Soft and PlayStation just have to jump out of the pit, but here comes Senkux as he gets the Shockwave off. Rai can just shift over, looking for Soft. Gets gold carded by Aaron as the Deadly Flourish will send them packing. Really, really good turnaround by Barrage.
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't get Soft down. It would have been a 900 gold bounty, but getting 2 kills there, absolutely huge. And Doxy, the big catalyst for that one. It's beautiful how he just sort of slides in with the Magnar. Very quick stun from the ultimate. A lot harder to react to than the W. That's why Wazor didn't use a riposte for so long, because he didn't expect the quick ultimate to come out from Doxy, and they just managed to follow up from there. They've already lost one member, and Eren and Achu aren't even in this fight. They've done barely anything, so it was a really bad fight for Trick to be caught into. They end up losing 2 members there, but it's showing Barrage still alive and willing to take fights in this one.
Oh, they are absolutely alive. This 6,000 gold lead I spoke about, what, 4 minutes ago, has now gone down to a 4,000 gold lead. So, in order to make up 4,000 gold, like you said, a kill on Soft is 700 gold. The shutdown gold is actually really powerful for Barrage and them to pull themselves back into this. Rai spiking pretty hard here, 202 on the Ezreal. Have a look at his items and see where he's at as well. He's got the mana, the Muramana fully stacked up. He's got the Trinity Force as well.
And you know what? Barrage's carries, Senkux and Rai, are actually in pretty good positions. Like, don't get me wrong, Doxy and Maxi are still pretty far behind. But realistically, Wazor isn't the most useful in a team fight, and Soft is going to fall off. So, you know, yes, the gold lead is significant, but I don't think Barrage are in that bad of a position. Trick need to keep applying the pressure. And I think one of the ways to do that is play around your Fiora.
And that's what they're doing, looking for the gold card onto Doxy, but Wendelbo comes forward with the Solar Flare and forces a flash out from Aaron. Bottom lane tier 2 will crumble to a bit of a siege from Tricked.
And you can see Barrage didn't expect that. Maxi and Senkux on the complete other side of the map while that play was opening out. So a quick rotation from Tricked. They don't manage to get any summoners there with the ult coming in from Eren. They actually lose a flash themselves, but they get the tower. Again, it's going to keep their gold lead pretty healthy. Now, it's a minute until that Mountain Dragon. That would be stalled for Barrage, but they don't have to fight this if they don't want to. I'm seeing assist pings come out. It looks like they want to try and establish vision in the area.
50 seconds on the clock, and Curtain has been called. Senkux slowed down as the gold card is chasing from Eren. He's not quite in range. A good shockwave does come forward as the wild cards are not going to do quite enough, and that's actually Senkux able to survive. Eren takes a lot of damage from Rai, forcing him a little bit low. Senkux can just recall and get back into the area though, so...
I mean, that's the problem, is that play would actually be great if it happened a little bit later. The problem is 20 seconds is plenty of time for Senkux to get back from base, haven't already reset. It does mean they sacrifice some of the vision in the area, but Achu is now without his curtain call, so hits to both sides. Big ult chunks Eren out, and now actually Barrage in favor in terms of HP.
Yeah, they really are. Deadly Flourish onto Doxy as he gnars out, so probably not going to be able to get himself into range unless Wendelbo can set up. Shoot. Gonna pop the blast going over the wall. Remember, this is Soul. We've got the Destiny available, and it has been used. Making his way into the fight. Here comes Eren. Has that gold card charged up. Barrage's health bars are low. Remember, Shockwave is still down for a little bit longer. Not quite up yet. Soft can jump over the wall. Can he secure this dragon? It's going low. It's healing back up. They've got the stuns, the Shockwave, the secure. Soul is picked up for Barrage. And now the Lamb's Respite means nobody else is going to go down. Aaron trying his best to get the last bit of burst out, but he will be shut down. The gold lead has just evaporated, and Barrage are well and truly in the driving seat now.
And now they can just head over the Baron. No contest coming out for Tricked here. A great secure from Maxi. Just some beautiful play all around from Barrage to get back into this game. Kills are even, and with this Baron, they should actually be even in gold.
It's going to have to be one hell of a deadly flourish from a Chew. Here comes the curtain call, blocked up by the team, and that is Baron for Barrage.
We'll get the replay, and it's a bit rough because Barrage had to back away because of lack of Mega Gnar, but they approach, and look at all this damage coming over the wall. You can see a great stopwatch there by Wendell to buy time, and then they all funnel in. And as the health bars of Barrage start to get low, the ult from Maxi gets massive value. The critical thing here was that Tricked was so focused on the Mountain Dragon and Barrage weren't. They were focused on the team fight. To them, losing the Dragon was not the biggest thing. It was about winning the fight and what came from getting the fight afterwards. Honestly, Maxi stealing the dragon was the icing on the cake there. And I think it's showing the strength of Barrage's composition in this team fights, but also the decision-making in that scenario to commit to the damage over the wall, to find the success in the team fight. And it's translated it really well into an even game. But now with the Baron and the Soul, Barrage looking to start to pull ahead.
Barrage playing very intelligently, very decisively in the last 10 minutes or so. As Trick did do a good job to get ahead. They were playing it very well around some of the objectives and also mainly just getting these kills. Now, there is obviously the always ever-present threat. A lot of the towers have already crumbled, and Weasel has 2 items as Doxy gets gold carded here. Soft will look to chase him down. Doxy just has to flash away. But the shove is coming in on the mid lane as well. We're having a bit of a base race on our hands right now. Remember, Barrage have the Baron. I don't know if this is a great trade. As Soft misses out on the Dragon's Rage, and now they're just going to teleport in. She's going to try and get as much damage onto this tower as possible. It will be forced out. Senkux has to flash away. Inhibitor's been left open, but the shockwave's big from Senkux, and Doxy still has that Gnar as he wallops one back. Soft now in trouble, but Barrage, they're onto an inhibitor in the bot lane, and Soft's going to lose his life. Doxy's coming forward, and the Chew has to flash away as he gets the 4th shot off. Teleports are coming forward, and now Barrage, they're just looking to close this out. Aaron has to use the top watch to keep himself alive for the moment, but he'll be locked down and taken out instantly. Rai is unstoppable, and Wazor 1v4 is not going to be able to defend this one. He's trying to get the heal off on from Doxy, but Doxy's not giving it over. Barrage have played fantastically in game number 1 as they get the Nexus exposed with 26 minutes on the clock, and Barrage will take game number 1.
Honestly, what a beautiful comeback there from Barrage. Just the decision-making to get back in the game, and critically, Tricked made some key mistakes there. One of them was a lack of priority in the Dragons, and I know they were playing through topside, but there was that point where Wazor had no mana and got caught out. And the problem was, as soon as Souls started to stack up, they were forced to team fight, and they were also so concerned about losing that 4th dragon, they focused more on that than on the fight itself. And I think ultimately Barrage navigated things really well, but Tricked made some mistakes, and they were super costly. Because when you're playing, an easy team fight composition and you're playing a 1-3-1, you make a mistake, it's over.
Yeah, it was honestly Tricked. They played the early game very well. It was good. But for Barrage, the turnaround, the comeback was incredible. They honestly just did a really solid job of pulling that back from what honestly, looked like a pretty scary situation. I wouldn't say the game at any point ever looked doomed, but definitely looking a little hairy for them. And it shows this decisive decision-making means for Barrage were the superior team in game number 1. Now, guys, we are going to throw to a quick break. It is still a best of 3. So after this, we'll have our desk to break that game number 1 down. Talk a little bit more about game 2. See you in a sec.
Nintendo education, other kinds of wealth. We found this animation, thought was a conversation, pictures on a shelf. People say we are just what we do. It's just a stage. So we go on, and the lights are so strong. Just have to make this sound. We've broken ground, it's a countdown. We go on. Go on. Oh, oh. Life is an invitation, a soapbox imagination. Use it while you can. A handheld illumination, LCD appellation. Show up is the plan. Oh, they say we are just what we do, and it's all a stage. So we go on, and the lights are so strong. Just have to make this sound. We've broken ground, it's a countdown. We go on.
Barrage take the first game of the best of 3 series against Trick. And I mean, it is my first time on the NLC, Jamada, but what did I just watch?
You watched a game of League of Legends, which was technically flipped at the final dragon to give them soul and then Baron. That's what you watched.
Yeah, I think that is a great summary of the entire game. But let's start off first on what happened in the draft. I mean, we spoke about the things that happened. We talked about Lilia priorities. We talked about Graves going in there. But then we end up with the Kindred and the Lee Sin. And that Lee Sin showed up huge, Jamada.
Yeah, I think it did in the early stages. Soft definitely found a lot of decent flank angles and ganks. It provided a lot of pressure for the mid lane for the TF to sort of like open up the map a little bit. And as well, towards the top side, eventually, Wazor, the pressure bled out from the mid side into top side, and Wazor started to really take over the side lane. But that wasn't quite enough.
And that's the thing, right? In draft phase, we talked about it. They needed to get Razor rolling, and they did in the beginning. But it's like they kind of forgot about him and then started to play a team fighting composition with their split pushing composition, overreaching for some of the fights, and it just cost them a lot of tempo on the map.
Yeah, because on the other side, there's Doxy for Barrage and also Sencooks. Because we talked about the solo laners for Barrage. They're really important. Maxi enables them, but he couldn't really make that happen. And the early game, I mean, it looked like a disaster, Goldborg.
I mean, it definitely looked rough, but it never really looked over yet. Despite how far behind they were, they did still have some scaling in the Ezreal as well, and the mechanical display we just see in team fights from Barrage every time again, and I think we also see it in some of the fights here as well. But it obviously looked rough, and I think had Trick been better at playing towards their win condition, they might have just ran away for it.
Yeah, because I mean, we said it at the beginning, there's only one play that actually mattered in this game. And I think we should head on over to the drawing board here, Goldborg, because that play is the Drake. The steal from Maxi for that soul is game defining in this match.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's also the Drakes leading up to this, because Maxi did have a small lead in the early game. We see a 6-0 Lee Sin, so we kind of just forget about that. But Maxi really got the ball rolling with the Drakes early, which got them to this point as well. What we need to pay attention to here in the first place is that you can't really see it, but the Twisted Faith has just been basically just been, what do you call it, skirmished,
Chunked out.
Kind of chunked out, thank you. Completely lost my words there. And you can see him recalling at the topside bush here. So this means that he's waiting to get home, get pulled back with his ultimate. So you're already going to be losing a lot of priority here in the lane. They know this, they've chunked it out. And that means you're forced to back out here as tricked. So even though you spend a lot of time sending up the vision, even though you try to get the priority, you're still not the first team onto the Drake. And in this here, I understand what they're going for, but they are going a bit split here. Soft essentially either wants to go in with a blind steal where they can't see him, or he wants to get the flank. But when it comes down to it, you can see that Barrage realizes this. As soon as they see this Sonic Wave, they peel off. And this is where it kind of starts to get a bit interesting for Tricked here, and also a bit unfortunate at the same time. They feel like they can just force the Drake now really quick. They want to get in there. What they don't pay attention to is the Drake just reset instantly. Vendelbo flashing in there, getting onto the rest of them, a huge stun onto Soft, and just a lot of damage. Clutch steal once again from Maxi, and at this point it's just easy pickings. This Kindred ultimate, so much value in terms of teammates you're saving. Essentially this means you can just go towards Baron without being contested at all, and Eren trying to stay and get one of the kills. Nice stopwatch, but in the end just not nice enough, and it's essentially just the game being cost here by Tricked.
Yeah, looking at that second game, Jamada, Tricked has opted for the blue side. What are you expecting from Tricked? What do they need to adapt? Because, I mean, they looked like they were in the driver's seat, but still, they gave the steering wheel to Barrage.
Yeah, looking at it from a draft perspective, I don't think that this game was really too much about draft at the end of the day. I think that both teams drafted, effectively comfort for themselves, and then they played towards their conditions for a majority of the game. And Tricked they just kind of got punished by RNG patience on the final dragon, because I think they're making technically the right call to execute the dragon, but it resets and it gives them over the soul, and then yes, they die, and then it gives over Baron, and from there, a very a debatable decision to try and go for the Doxy dive on the top side whilst they're losing towers on the bot side. So draft-wise, I think they can probably stick to their guns on this one. I don't think there's much that they can change, but they certainly could.
And I think one thing at that Drake fight is that, yeah, they got punished by Drake RNG, but at the same time, they would most likely still have been cleaned up after that
Yes,
fight. The health
yes,
bars was really low,
yeah.
and I think essentially the Baron will go towards Barrage, and they will get tempo again on the play. I think it's the setup, I think it's Aaron being chunked up, and it's how the fight is being played around Drake that kind of just falters and, yeah, cost him essentially the game.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Trick will be able to pull it back. I mean, they looked good. They weren't, too much in devastated. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, I said it was disastrous at the beginning, but I take it back now I think of it. I mean, these two teams, they are both favorites. And I mean, it shows. Like, these two teams know what they're doing. Trick showed some mockery we talked about a little bit in the early game, but it just went, it went wrong at the moment that Drake happened. We're getting ourselves ready for game 2, but when we come back, it's time for the draft, and we have to see if Trick is able to even up the scores. Barrage taking them out, or will they find each other in a third game? We'll find out after a break. See you in a bit.
I feel like I'm in a dream, 'cause nothing is as it seems. I feel like I'm in a dream, but that's where I wanna be. And I feel free for the first time. And I feel free for the first time. For the first time. For the first time. For the first time.
Welcome back to the NLC Fall, where we're in the middle of our first best of 3 of the evening. Is Barrage and Trick Esports fighting it out. That first game was a pretty interesting one, so if you missed that, I think you have to rewatch a VOD, Goldborg.
I mean, just watch the last fight, so you'll skip the disappointment, really. Yeah. But enough about that. Let's get into the draft again. And as Jamada quickly pointed about, I agree with him. I honestly don't think this was much of a draft issue. I think that it came down to the gameplay, and it was quite clear in game 1. And you need to just sit them down with the coach, make sure they're not too tilted after that one, because they had it in the back, and one bad call just cost you the game, or maybe a bit of multiple. And look at that respect ban towards the Leona. It is just a champion that we've talked about so much because people just blind pick it, especially on red side. You have a priority for blue side, and therefore you just give over the Leona on red side where they can pair it up with another champion. So it's extremely dangerous.
Yeah, we see 3 junglers being banned away as well. Not really that much different from the first game. What are you expecting for their first pick on the side of Trick, Jamada?
I mean, if it's not banned out, I would imagine the Twisted Fate. I think it's the champion that they've most recently just prioritized so consistently, and Barrage, they don't want Camille in the game, so it's most likely going to be the TF. You've got the Hecarim and Lilia banned out, the Graves is gone. I don't think Nidalee is really high prio, so it's just going to be TF for Aaron again.
Dox is already crying. Like, you just know this was not a top lane decision. He's like, guys, can we ban Twisted Faith? I'm like, Doxy, calm down, we got this. And he's just the one who's gonna have to pay for it. But with red side being the thing now, we might see that Dusty just ends up getting the counter pick and get a bit of revenge against Waysol. But no, he's just going directly for the weak side here. So on obviously was left open because it was banned on blue side before by Barrage, and that enables the other side of the map. But a bit unorthodox from Barrage. We usually don't see them playing around bot, and when you have on, well, that's what you do.
Yeah, and I wonder though, because Ezreal got through the pick and ban now with the first pick and ban rotation, if we're gonna see it back again. I mean, Barrage opted for the Jhin now, and that kind of means that we'll see a bit of a trade-off on the ADCs, Jamada.
I think you're muted, buddy.
Oh, I'm muted. Sorry. It happens every now and again.
Everyone in chat.
I'm wondering if they're gonna. Yeah. I wonder if they're gonna go for the Ashe or the Senna. I think are the 2 that come to mind when I think about Archu. We just want the Lee Sin again blind. So, I mean, with the champions banned out, that's what they're feeling like is the highest prio for Sof, and could potentially just see the Sion lock. I mean, I'm not entirely averse to it. They could be waiting to try and see whether or not Barrage lock their full bottom lane. So yeah, we're gonna see the Balf special from Waysol the Sion.
Just real quick, Jamada, you would know this. Could the Sion go support?
Oh, there's a world where it could happen, but I don't think. You know, Tricked are crazy, Pad's crazy, the whole team's crazy. I don't think they would put Sion support unless it's like a super optimal matchup.
Okay, so assuming that the Sion goes to top lane, that kind of means there's not a lot of things happening on top lane. Would that mean that Trick is prioritizing on in the bot lane and not losing a lot of Drakes here? I mean, that kind of lost him the game, the prior game we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, we could be seeing that. With the Sound Lock, you don't really have to play towards that lane. It's an on lane, right? So, you know, you just lock in something that's super aggro on the bottom side. Could even really, like, scale, but find a little bit of priority. Something like the Senna, but Barrage recognized that, and they banned it out. So I would expect, at this point, I'm not sure how much further down you'd think. Maybe MF would be the next ban from Barrage if they're thinking about it. That or the Ashe. So yeah, I think they try and draft a strong bot side is what makes the most sense from this point on. And they look to stack those dragons because I think they might have some form of a, you know, I think they're a bit scared of the dragons after last game, in all honesty.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of priority on that as well. The Galio ban coming out, what does that tell you, Goldborg?
Well, they are definitely worried about the global being matched. Yeah. So, especially because essentially both teams want to play towards bot side now. So we could even just see them go down the Silas road as well, just to make sure that he doesn't steal the Twisted Faith ultimate.
Pantheon, Tom Kench, the 2 other supports in my mind. I wonder if they just leave them both up for both the globals to be available and they just trade between the 2. I think that could also be something. So instead, Trick to ban another mid laner. And I would assume Tricked are probably just going to be content trading between those two supports, or they take whichever. Well, they trade. And as far as ADs are concerned, I mean, I would imagine they just sort of default to the MF at this point. There's some interesting hovers from Rai, by the way. I'm not sure.
I don't think
the Lux is a legitimate lock, but I blind it's a bit crazy. So I'm expecting something like MF plus. Okay, I'll choose my friend. I'm expecting MF and then probably Pantheon. Realistically, I think would be the most likely, that or Tom, and you just play towards bottom side with this really sort of heavy kill lane. Or Nautilus is also still available. A lot of just sort of that going on. Oh wow. All right. Yeah, well,
that's
an interesting pick.
Rakan, OG Worlds composition coming into this one that we saw a lot of the group stages kind of just faltered away when teams learned to play around the Twitch. So that is definitely something you need to be wary on Tricked Esports. You need to keep this Tricked alive. He's essentially your main backline damage, and if he's not there with the items, you're going to be lacking a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the hover is interesting again, and we see it coming up again. I think, Jamada, you said this is a very, I mean, you could pick it up, but they won't.
It could be legit, but like there's other picks that are just better. Like I think the Thresh makes a whole bunch more sense. You've got the Lantern there to sort of provide safety away from Lee, away from Twisted Fate, away from Rakan engages. The Thresh can also, of course, like, you know, flay the Rakan out of his dashes, so I think that's also a fine lock. The other option probably could have been Nautilus too. Just being able to sort of press R once Twitch comes out stealth and tries to open up to dissuade him from being really close. Would have worked fine, but yeah, I mean, again, I think both comps have really drafted to practically just comfort, and that's what we're going to sort of see, and it's going to be about which team plays towards win conditions better and executes on them.
Yeah, I think that the Kindred can play a huge part in this one as well. If Soft does not get a lead, but Soft just played out his mind last game. He needs to replicate that kind of performance. But if he goes even with the Kindred will most likely have the advantage, just because these team fights, or these team comps both want to team fight, and the Kindred Ultimate just offers so much extra survivability in a prolonged team fight.
Yeah, and I have to say, last time you could kind of toss up the scaling. This time, Barrage definitely, I think, like just outright, it's objective. They outscale on this one. So Tricked kind of working on a bit of a timer, but I think if they execute it, they should be in an okay spot.
Yeah, and the timer has some extra pressure as well, because Tricked is 1-0 behind. They need to pull it back and get us into a game 3 for them, but also for our entertainment a bit. Will they be eliminated after this game, or will we see a third game? We have a lot of questions, but I think we also have some answers on the side of Ox and Hipray.
Thank you very much, Colin. As we're getting ready to go into the second game, we do unfortunately have a quick pause, so it gives us a little bit more time to break this game down. Now, destined to be in agreement that this game feels a little bit on a timer here for Trick. They do still have the Twitch, though, so I do think they do have a little bit of late game options. They do have a bit of front line. They do have some flanking as well. So for me, it's how well Trick can pull off this early game like they did in the first game, but then also not fumble as they transition a little bit later into the game.
I think the problem is, as it gets later in the game, there's just going to be these scenarios where Twitch opens out of stealth into a shockwave. Or, you know, the Lamb's Respite comes out to negate his ult, and then after his ult, it's like, well, what else do you have?
True.
And I still think Tricked have got a lot of strength, and I don't think it's like they fall off a cliff. There's definitely avenues they can approach in the later stages. But I think the plan here is to flip the switch from last game. Last game was play around top side, get waves off fed. You are now playing around bot side. You get a Chew and Flay stations fed, and they can carry you through those early team fights. You start stacking dragons. You get a soul fight before Barrage have really come online and start handing out ornaments. And that's your opportunity to win this. So still got that strong mid-jungle duo with Aaron and Soph on the Twisted Fate Lee Sin. So if the early game goes well again, hopefully the plan around playing around bot side allows them to not have to deal with issues in team fights and also issues around dragons.
And remember the stakes of the game here. If Trick lose this here, they're out. They're donezo. Barrage, on the other hand, this is a 2-0 win for them, and they are through to the next stage. We've only had one series be a 2-0 here on the mainstream throughout the entirety of the first week. We're obviously on week 2 now. Starting on a 2-0 really is a dominant thing from Barrage, because a lot of our series went all the way, and Barrage were one of the teams who on day 1 were forced to go all the way to game number 3. Now it looks like the pause is over, and we're ready to take to the Rift for game number 2. So, Orcs.
Yep.
you played League of Legends yesterday, I'm assuming.
I played a lot of League of Legends.
I played a lot of League of Legends yesterday. What are you liking about the new items? Obviously, if anyone who's just tuned in, we are on 1021. What is it? 1019? I can't remember which patch we're on.
We're on 1021 now.
Well, yes, we were on 19 last week, but unfortunately, we've had to move to 21. Although Yone and Samira are not enabled, and technically, Seraphine doesn't exist, so we'd have to deal with that.
This is really important, actually. Tricked can't give this up because they need to play through bot side. If you let a map split happen on the side you want to play through, you're in a really bad position.
All spotted out there as a Chew. Does go invisible.
I think you contest it. Your level 1's good as Tricked. I think you can actually fight this.
Well, they found a knock up into the Flay. Wonderbow's already low. Lethal Tempo's pop for Chew as they're following in. Endelbow's able to survive for a little bit. He's inside the pit and it's first blood onto the support. Everybody else has to flash out of the pit. And Trick do come out on top in this level 1. A lot of summoner spells burp on the side of Barrage.
I love the confidence. It was the right move for Trick. They needed to make that work. But I also like the fact that they went aggressive in that scenario. They knew that level 1 was strong. And actually, it looks like Trick are going for something they brought out in the summer split of the NLC. And they're going for the lane swap right now. This is specifically powerful with the Scion, because typically what happens is Scion starts a camp by himself, and then he can actually die to it, get some gold, go bot lane, and defend 1v2. This won't be happening here. Because of the invade, it's not possible for this to happen, but what you can still do is defend bot lane as the Scion. He's really hard to dive with the passive that brings him back to life. He can clear waves with it, so I like the moves from Trick here. It's a good strategy.
Yeah, and with this there, the Prio as well, in the mid, in the top. And Maxi's just going to have to lose his buff here. This is going to be a double buff pickup onto Trick. Maxi does not have any intention of contesting this one. Wonderbow is roaming over, though. Aaron could be in for a bit of hurt here. Only you got the Flay, though. So it looks like...
I think Wendelbo's moving topside to assist, but the problem here is that this is kind of Barrage seemingly not being prepared for this scenario, because they haven't looked to punish the bot side. You know, this is Rai 1v1 against Wazor. They're not going to dive him. He can't dive 1v1. They're not going to be getting many plates out of the situation because you can just clear the wave. He's low HP now, but he can just reset and TP back in. I kind of feel like Barrage haven't responded how you typically expect them to do so here.
Yeah, they were absolutely not ready for this play.
And they've just sent Wendelbo top. And now the reset's actually coming in from Tricked. A Chew's already hit, being able to pick up a dagger, which isn't super significant, but he's now back in a lane. And I feel like Barrage are kind of behind on this one. Wendelbo just basically went top to defend, but he didn't really achieve much in that situation.
Oh, no, Maxi. Everybody is collapsing on this crab. Can he get it in time? Doesn't have the smite. It's 300 health and soft. Can just slide in and take this. Barrage getting absolutely slapped about in this early game.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty strong from Trick. You defend your bot side, you aggress on the top side, and then you again can defend this scuttle on the bot side. In terms of the impact of this lane swap, Wazor has fallen a bit behind in CS on his Scion, but he's not really too concerned about this. But on the other side of the map, Chew's feeling pretty okay about the scenario. And honestly, nothing's changed drastically other than the impact it's had on Maxi. Maxi has been put pretty far behind because of this.
Senkux is going to get a little bit of a trade on Timbit way shoving in. But I did get a little bit of free time to himself. The Soft is maybe thinking about making a play onto Senkux. Senkux, remember, is flashless right now. He's only level 4, so the best he's got going for him is a phase rush to try and escape this. He smells something as a miss, though. Knowing that PlayStation is missing from bot lane. It's actually just going to give Aaron some time to step up and contest this tower. Soft makes his way over, reveals that there was, in fact, something going on.
Yeah,
that's a lot of minions denied from Senkux.
A lot of CS denied. Ultimately, he's not even that far behind compared to Aaron. And because the tower is so tanky in the mid lane, they don't even lose a plate in that scenario. So Senkux, not too concerned, read the situation well, and was able to respond to it.
Yeah, we'll be able to catch up fairly soon as Maxi is starting up this Infernal Dragon. The pings are going down, though. Soft is just roaming with his team everywhere right now. Chew has been chunked out a little bit, and
Trick can't let this go.
can move some people over as Maxi's already pretty low. They've got the Lantern, though, to make sure he gets out, as now it's Rai, who actually might be in for a bit of trouble. Does get himself hooked up as Rai's going to force the heal out. 4 members of Trick move towards this bot lane. They've got the Deadly Flourish. Now forced the Chew to flash away. Now it's Soph and Aaron getting collapsed onto. They've got the Orianna closing in. Only level 5 at the moment, but Aaron has to flash away as that is doing a lot of damage to him.
Aaron,
he's on the wrong side of the map.
I'm not sure you know where you're going.
This is an easy kill for Senkux.
What a mess, honestly, from the side of Tricked. A Chew and PlayStation, way too aggressive. Their job there was to zone Maxi away. They did it, but then they over-chased, and there was no way they were ever finding a kill. The damage just wasn't there. But by them over-chasing, it put Aaron and Soph in a really uncomfortable position, and they were unable to defend the Dragon, and now Dragon just going to be picked up by Barrage. This priority around the bot side really not going in favor of Tricked right now. Losing out on the first Dragon, a pretty big hit.
And this is exactly what we saw in game number 1. There's some really good early moves coming out from Trick, but the decisiveness of Barrage is ultimately what pulls them ahead. They're now only down a little bit of gold. First Dragon's been picked up. Maxi will get his first mark here on the Crab, so a little slow behind on that, and is a little bit behind of Soph at the moment. But remember, we're talking about the scaling. Barrage do have that, and they're keeping themselves in the game.
The problem is, though, one of the big issues is that although Tricked, you know, they had a situation like this in game 1. In game 1, they had a Fed Fiora. They don't have a Fed Fiora right now. They wanted to play through bots, so it's not like they're trading Dragons for advantage on the other side of the map. This was Trick just mis-executing on that Dragon play.
Yeah, and if you actually look at the bot, if we look at the CS numbers right now, there is a deficit. There is an advantage to Rai. He came up better from this lane swap early than a Chew did. And ultimately, this means you got the Swifties, you got the Kirchie Shard onto Ryan. Now it actually looks like Barrage, they were thinking about a lane swap. They decided not to go for it as they move Rai back towards this bot side of the map.
You know what? Although it seemed like Barrage weren't really necessarily ready for the lane swap, I feel like they've navigated everything okay. They didn't fall too far behind in terms of that. It very quickly ended after they moved Wendelbo up, and they managed to get the Dragon. And despite Maxi being put behind, securing the Dragon is the big thing.
Yeah. It really is. And Rai, he's quite happy just to hold this lane on his own. He's okay for Wendelbo to move around the map. Playing this very smart. He knows he's ahead as is. Is somewhat starting to catch up for here for a Chew. They have a pretty big wave to catch, but always crashing in. It looks like now Tricked are going to try to start up the Rift Herald.
Definitely something they need priority on. Missing out on the Dragon is one thing, but missing out on the Herald as well would be a pretty big hit. They do have priority. Actually, I mean, Tricked, Weasel's just sacrificing the wave to try and keep Doxy away. It's not even the fact he has priority. He's just unwilling to feed anything to Doxy.
Maxi's going to jump over this wall here with a Dance of Arrows, but that is a little bit too slow. But Maxi's still following this. Hasn't got level 6, so he's forced to flash away as the gold card connects. And now Doxy's the one who's in for a bit of trouble. Is able to jump away as they're coming forward. Wendelbo comes in. Shockwave still available. Here comes the curtain call. Aaron's going to get chunked. Aaron's going to go low, and Soph gets the kickoff. Is able to trade out for a kill as he's slowed by the last shot. Able to jump away. Deadly Flourish forced PlayStation to flash away as well. Rift Herald picked up for the side of Tricked.
Honestly, messy from Tricked, but they're still winning in that play. It's a 1-for-1, but they get the Herald, and on top of that, a Chew able to pick up some solo farm in the bot side. You can see Barrage, they brought numbers there. They want to be aggressive, and they're looking for the kills, but I feel like just not respecting the burst potential coming out there from Soph. And then because of the flashes available to Trick, they're both able to make it out. If that had been 3 kills for Barrage, definitely would have been a good play for them. But trading 1-for-1 in that scenario, not ideal by any means.
Big wave getting killed here by Rai. They've actually got a Destiny. They're looking for him. Deadly Flourish is on. They've got the teleport to try and keep him alive. Rai's actually pretty tanky right now. PlayStation jumps underneath the tower, and Rai's able to get a kill. Teleport was interrupted. Rai's going very, very low, but he's found himself a double kill. The play onto Soph now. Hook's going to go a little bit wide, but here comes Senkux. Shockwave not quite available. Wendelbo feeling it. Not going to overcommit. That was just the biggest fumble by Trick.
Yeah, that was really bad to see, really messy. Went a bit too early. They didn't have Soft there to follow up instantly. They didn't have the ultimate on PlayStation, so it's not like they could easily lock down Rai. And without the kick as well from Soft, there was a lot of things that could have gone wrong, and it feels like almost all of them did for Trick. But I gotta say, Ryan Wendelbull handling that one well.
Doxy does have the call of the Forge God. They're looking for Wazel here. I'm going to get a nice chunk onto him, but not enough to actually kill him. I think Doxy was too... Oh, yeah, Doxy was out of mana, so there's no way he was going to be able to turn that. But that's going to be the second mark for Maxi as well. And now we were talking about how this Jhin was already starting to get ahead, getting even further ahead. Beautifully played on the tower.
He ults on a tower before the wave's even there, and there's no follow-up instantly from a Chu and PlayStation. And it's like, Aaron just went way too ham on this play, trying to push it way too soon, and as a result, Soft turns up late. The ideal scenario there is stun card into Sonic Wave into execute. That is what you want to do, but because Eren was already dead by the time Soft arrives, there was no chance of pulling that off. Honestly, just big mistake on Eren's end to just go way too quickly.
And now this time, Rai will have Flash. So if they attempt something like that again, probably them that are going to struggle for it. Now, the Rift Herald is still in Soft's inventory for a little bit longer. See if he tries to throw this down. The second dragon will get picked up a Barrage, and it looks like we'll be looking towards a different Drake from the last game as Eren's getting chunked out, and we are in for a Cloud Soul in this game.
Dragon for Barrage. Pretty big hit again. I mean, at this point, Soul is going to be really late in this game. We're looking at like a 31-minute Soul at the earliest if Trick does to get it. And it just means it's going to be a long time before that point.
Oh, Doxy trying to buy some bit of space for himself here. Doesn't actually have the backup of his team as he is just taken out easily. Wazor goes down to the tower shot, though. The curtain calls come down in the bot lane. Chu's dodging away on a lot. PlayStation also, but Maxi looking to sink that last little bit of damage in, and the red buff burn is enough to get the kill. Sorry, red smite burn is enough to get the kill. Maxi trades out on the opposite side of the map as the Rift Herald was summoned in the top side to pick some plates up, but not a turret. Actually, sorry, Soft still got it.
Yeah, so they'll take a bunch of plates, deny a lot of CS in this situation. I guess throw down the Herald for the first tower. Not optimal usage. It's only one plate that's left, and Soft getting the gold isn't exactly the perfect place to get it. Ideally, I would have liked to see this play around bot lane. You know, we talked about how this game, the focus should be bot lane. You now have a Scion on the top side, but instead they go for the same play again. Playing around top, but this time you don't have a Fiora. And this, I mean, a dive with a Scion tanking and then at least in a TF should be pretty easy to pull off. But honestly, Wazel just disrespectful here. He could have flashed. To make sure he avoided that damage. And then the bot side, it's just Trick's bot lane being punished. And realistically, I feel like if you're picking Twitch Rakan, who are so strong in team fights, and if you get them ahead, can honestly just 2v8 carry a game, you should be playing around them. This play should be on the bot side. The first tower should be in a Chu's pocket.
And normally I'd be a bit worried for Barrage in the sense, but okay, there is a Scion and you have a Jhin. Jin's not that great at killing the Scion. Doesn't matter. Maxi makes up for that. So will Stenkux once the Leandris comes forward. So it's not like they have an unkillable tank which the carry can't deal with, because there's other champions on this roster that will be able to deal with that Scion. So even trying to get him ahead, which he's not, would still for me doesn't really have any net gain here.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's putting the priority in the wrong position.
Yeah.
Still kind of in that game one mindset where it's like, oh, well, Fiora needs to split push. Well, you don't have a Fiora anymore. Sion's not exactly going to do anything against Norn.
A lot of pings towards this bot lane. They're looking for Rai. Rai flashes away. Has the lantern to safety, but here comes Soft on the flank, looking for him. Kick's going to follow up. Rai just pops the heal, gets himself stunned, but a great lantern fight over the wall is going to be enough to save him. He comes back into safety, and now Rai's in the safe zone. Here comes the curtain call. Here comes the wombo combo. Everyone on Tricked is going to go down one by one. Soft is trying to jump away, but Stenkux flashes forward to try and take him down. One last deadly flourish, and the shutdown is Doxy's. Barrage just destroy Tricked.
It was actually a really nice plan from Trick at the start to pick up Rai, but then after it fails, they commit into a really rough fight. It literally looked like they were in a shooting gallery there, just trapped in that small space with the curtain call open, and it was just great play all around from Barrage for the safety. So initially here, the flash from Rai and then the lantern to get into a more comfortable spot, then yes, Soft comes over, but they're able to move away from that situation thanks to a great shockwave from Senkux, then the ult from Maxi to keep him alive. Now we can go over the wall with the blast code, and this is where this perfect ult comes down in tandem with the Ornn ultimate, and it's just shooting fish in a barrel for the side of Barrage. Easy cleanup on kills, and it's starting to look pretty rough for Trick. They lose this game and they're out.
Yeah, that is it.
No other way to
Game
spin
one,
it.
I thought we were in for a real series. But Barrage are just proving their decision-making, their heat of the moment, when everything is really important, when it could go either way. Barrage are just proving that they, time after time, are able to handle those situations perfectly. Because now it's Eren who's under threat. Wonderboy's just going to step up. Everyone else is going to step back and just chill for a moment. And Tricked and PlayStation will pick up a Rift Herald for their team. I'd like to quickly take a quick look at
Tricked and PlayStation.
Sorry. Stop. Well, I mean, I'm not entirely wrong on that, but yeah. Stop and PlayStation.
Yeah.
I'll quickly have a look at Maxine, see where he's at on these stacks at the moment. He did get put behind a little bit early, but thank you very much.
Away.
One off. Dragon spawning up as well. Looks like, once again, the attention's to the top side just before the dragon spawns. Doxy, he's pretty tanky at this point. He's fine. So, like you said, Orcs,
What are you going to do to him?
it's frustrating lane assignment from Tricked. It's
Like-
really frustrating lane
Oh
assignment.
no! There's a tank and a Lee Sin, a lethality Lee Sin, trying to
Oh,
kill
here they
an Ornn with
go!
Shockwave.
Already, he's just trying to clear it out for as much as possible, but Senkux comes in with a shield of the teleport. Shockwave's going to get dodged away as the Call of the Forge God comes down. Doxy is going to get knocked up. Senkux trying to put a bit of damage in. Wazel will lose his life once again to the tower, as they do kill the AD carry and the top laner. The Dragon's been picked up, and Wendelbow stepping up towards PlayStation. There was a play made, and this time it got them something. They did lose out on Dragon, and Soul is a win condition here for Barrage in the next 4 minutes.
They got 2 kills. I really don't know how Wazel survived there, but somehow he did. Bry got picked off in the mid lane. Obviously doesn't have the flash anymore, and this is a power of the Twitch Rakan combo, is that Twitch walks up on you in stealth, and then Rakan can close the gap by dashing to him and then dashing onto the target. Really hard to outplay, especially with no flash. But I mean, this play, they bring the TF in, and actually I feel like it's kind of botched a bit here by Barrage. Right now, Doxy ults, the shockwave misses. He could have just backed off. He instead goes in, and that's why Doxy ends up going down. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter whether Doxy dies or not. It's something for Tricked, it's positive. But like, why are you playing to the top side as Tricked? You just gave another Dragon over to Barrage, and they are now 1 away from Soul. And for what? You killed Norn? You commit 3 members to kill an Ornn? Cool, great. Didn't even get to throw the Herald down afterwards. Didn't even get a tower. It just... it feels really questionable. You know, I feel like you pick this Twitch Rakan, you play to make this Twitch Rakan strong.
Well, the gold graph is on your screen right now. It looks like our chart is expecting this game to be quite a lot longer because script leaks. We're halfway through at the moment. 18 minutes on the
Dead
clock.
even. Wait, so
Gold
it's 18 minutes
is dead
now.
even.
That
Oh,
looks
sorry,
like it's
you're
going
right.
for another... That looks like it's going for the 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? So for the next 20 minutes, it's going to be dead even.
It might be that, or it might just be because they've been even for a long time in gold.
I mean, you'd have to be pretty even to be that even in gold. But, you know, I'm not a statistician. Are you, Jake?
No, do you think I am?
No. Not
Yeah.
even close.
Not at all. She's actually looking for Rai here. They're going to flash forward. Rai just jumps out. The Ultimate's going to chase him down. Rai's able to dodge away, but they got the Destiny. He's inside the bush. He's gold carded. He's knocked up.
Oh,
Rai
great kick.
is just going down. And like you said, a great kick going off on the other side of the kit. Ball as the Call of the Forge God is going to get a bit of a knock up here. Senkux now on the run, knocked up by the Decimating Smash. And all of a sudden, all the shutdowns are coming forward. Barrage just falling apart. Trick executing beautifully.
It's actually rough timing. I'm not even going to lie. 30 seconds later, and that's Baron for the start of Tricked. But it's not quite spawned yet. They will be happy with mid lane tower. And finally, we're seeing a good fight come out from Tricked. Good target selection. There's some nifty little outplays during that one. And ultimately, it wasn't a clean kill on the Riot like Tricked were hoping for. But all in all, getting 2 towers mid and a 1-team fight, I think Tricked can be happy with that one.
Maxi gets a nice little chunk onto Wazel, but like you said, Baron probably
I
not
want to
real
highlight
threat here.
something that was really slick. So initially, you know, Achu's going for this aggressive play. They don't quite get in a ride thanks to a great play from Wendelbo. But watch this kick actually from Sofia onto Doxy. Kicked him just before the knockup. That was such a slick move there. And there's a lot of little out plays like this coming through the fight that actually resulted in Trick getting the success. It was definitely a back and forth for a while, but ultimately the aggressors come out ahead in this one.
My attention was entirely on the pick on the right. I was looking at the north side of that team fight. I did not see that kick.
That's why we're such a good team, Jay, because I look at the bust side of the fight, you look at the top side of the fight, and we see everything.
Four eyes are better than two.
True. That's what I always said when I had to wear glasses at school.
Is it?
No. But I should have. I should have.
You felt like the kind of kid who's probably, you know, if someone took the mick out of your glasses, you'd probably punch him. Was that the kind of kid you were?
Are you saying that because I'm from the north?
Yes. You're gonna punch me in someone see Shockwave. Beautiful as they get the knock up. That's the execution they needed as PlayStation loses his life. A snipe from the back from Rai. Wazor gonna force the flash out. Maxi has been jumped onto. The Destiny's been used. Hook comes out from Wendelbo, goes in for the flay, looking for the lockdown with the Deadly Flourish. They got a great ultimate to keep everyone alive inside this tower dive. The heals come forward. Rai flashes out. Hook by Wendelbo just a little bit too short. But Barrage find their kills. 29 seconds before the Dragon. They can go for the recall. They can go for the spend.
Yeah, I think respawns would have come in from Trick by that point, but a lot more gold going in the pockets of Barrage, trying to close the gap. Dragon up in 15, so he'll be back pretty quickly for this one. See Trick looking to try and get mid priority, but the vision control really strong from Barrage here. And
You
Trick
are
just
walking
don't
into the darkness.
Yeah, they don't have much to contest this.
Shockwave available for Senkux fairly soon, and Jungle are dead. Soft actually gets out in time as PlayStation pops the quickness, flashes forward for the knockup. They're getting everyone out there. Senkux able to dodge away here for the moment, looking for that Shockwave as PlayStation is going to go down. Achu gets a kill onto Rai, but the Shockwave hits Achu, and he will lose his life in response. Wazer in the middle of the fight. Senkux has found himself a double kill already, and with Wendelbo at the back, they're able to do everything they need. Soft looking for a kick over the wall, not going to quite find it. Jungler and AD carry down for support and AD carry. 2-for-2 trade. Teleports are coming back in. And Barrage, they're not done yet.
Yeah, they don't have their jungler up and Soft is still alive, so they're not comfortable to go for this instantly. Critical thing, though, is Wazor is not up for another 20 seconds. Everyone else is respawning far quicker. You can see Senkux reset and can actually TP back in if he wants to. But we'll get a quick replay of the fight here. Soft just really overextended here. Trying to face check without his team. Really, Wazor should have been the one going in. And then I love this lantern to get Senkux out of the CC there. And he's just able to re-engage. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Achu comes out, pops the ult, Shockwave, goodbye. It's so hard to play a Twitch up against Orianna unless you can get the jump on her with, you know, follow-up from Rakan. The problem is, Trick just aren't syncing up on these fights.
No, they're not. Infinity Edge Hurricane, though, does mean Achu's going to do a lot of damage if he can avoid that Shockwave, but it's back up and the TPs are coming forward. This is going to be Cloud Soul over to Barrage, and they're looking for a team fight to lock this one down as they got a lantern to get Senkux away to safety. Eren is on that flank with a gold card fired up, and Maxi does spot him. Rai's just trying to dodge away from Wazor for the moment, and Doxy gonna fight the call of the forward squad. That hook was gorgeous as a shutdown is picked up for Senkux. He's still full health. He's got himself the double kill, and he's still got a Shockwave to work with. Wazor zombie gonna chase Wendelbo down here, but Wendelbo gonna be able to get out as Eren's just gonna try and clear the wave out. Just going to be running into
Wendelbo. You don't win that.
You're 4 levels down, dude. Unless he has the tower to help.
I mean, I think he's just stalling him out.
Yeah, he is. Oh, they go for Barrage.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's just he was very aggressive with his pathing there. But he's making it so Eren can't just reset or walk over quickly. Trying to slow him and keep tabs on him. It should be an easy pickup. Quite available for Maxi. And Achu does have the ultimate though on the quickness. They could try and take this one on.
Wendelbo actually gonna go pretty low here. Flays back as Senkux comes in. Flay Station gets chunked out instantly. Achu does pop the ultimate, but there's the Shockwave to follow. Eren's finally joined the fight as Maxi jumps over the wall. Achu is just gonna get easily blown apart. Eren, he was too slow because of Wendelbo, and it's another double kill for Senkux on this Orianna. Almost dies to the Ignite. Isn't gonna quite get it as Soft will kill Wendelbo. Finally.
Wendelbo, you were asking for it. You were really asking for it at this point. But Soft's still looking for more here. No kick, though. I don't think he can kill Maxi here.
No, I don't think he quite has it. It's not the lethality build this time. And I want to talk a little bit about Senkux.
I'll
10.
Just have a bit of lethality in the build. It's just, you know, Maxi has flash.
Oh, he does, yeah.
And his tumble. But yeah. Senkux. Continue, Jake.
He's 10-1, but I mean, this is how he got to 10-1. Let's have a look at this fight again.
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, it's just really good kiting from the side of Barrage. As soon as waves are ult in, they all disengage. And Trick just can't get access into this fight. There's no window for them to join, and PlayStation and Chu actually don't even use that ult. That's how doomed this fight is. They don't even commit them. And now they look for this, and again, the shockwave comes out into a Chu. Really hampers what he can do in this team fight. And then once more, the Lambs fight coming out from Maxi just means that there's no real chance for Trick to actually get momentum in the fight. The backline is too well protected for Barrage, and Chu is really functioning as a solo carry to clean these up. Aaron and Soft aren't doing enough in these fights.
It looks like, I think it's the Luden's Pulse is the name of the Ornn upgrade on Senkux. So they didn't go for the Death Crown. Just wanted to give him the update.
Have you seen the new names for the ornament on live with the new items?
So yeah, what gets upgraded? I haven't actually seen
any mythic item. Any mythic item. But only mythic items can be upgraded.
I've still got to learn the name of the mythic items on their own. I haven't even learned the Ornn ones
you know
yet.
how here it goes from Luden's Echo to Luden's Tempest?
Yes.
It is nothing like that. It's like they change completely from what I've heard. Like the names are completely different for some of them. So
I don't know why they renamed Luden's Echo. It's basically the same. It's Luden's something else now.
Luden's cup of tea. I don't know.
Luden's cup of tea. Well, it looks like Barrage might be in for a quick cup of tea at this rate, as they're looking to go 2-0 in this game. Rise stepping up with that fourth shot, ready to fire. Getting himself a hook and a flay onto Wazor. He's going to have to charge away with the ulti. That's him chunked out, but look at Chu on the flank. Can he find the burst? He's got PlayStation. The quickness has been thrown down instantly. Maxi ultimates to make sure Chu can't do anything, and the Chu's just going to get CC'd. Senkux coming in forward. Soft actually does get an assassination off. Comes in for the kick. Comes to the flash. Senkux goes on to Aaron. Aaron's going to go low. As Aaron goes golden, Chu's going to get the damage, but here's the redemption to keep them alive. And Barrage, they're not done yet. They are pounding on the front door.
Reset and heal. Barrage need to back away. They're low on health. They don't have a base to defend them. But actually, I think everyone wants to go. He's got the Destiny.
Yeah, he is going for the chase. Destiny has been popped. Where is Aaron going to go? Teleport's coming in as well. Barrage are getting collapsed on all fronts, and Wazor is coming down. Can they find the turnaround? Aaron caught out by the deadly flourish. The flash. Doxy secures the kill. Here's a Chu, though, looking for Senkux. Senkux is going to have to run away. He's just about out of this one for now. As Roy takes out PlayStation, and Chu can't even get in. And Barrage, they've just pushed their way back into this game, back into the base. They wanted to reset, but now they want to end.
They just brute force through the flank, forcing resets coming out from Tricked. And honestly, just a huge win there for Barrage. I thought, you know, they have to back away. They have to disengage from this fight, but Tricked want more. They wanted to go for the extra engage, but Aaron, critical mistake, stepping up too far. And they're also able to take out PlayStation. We're going to replay. So this is actually a really nice angle from a Chu, and this is what you need. But Maxi so on point, expecting this, ready with the Lambs fight, and then the Ornn, and just the zoning from Senkux limits what a Chu can do. And remember, he is the critical carry in this fight. And this redemption here, honestly, super clutch at just keeping everyone alive. And you can see a Chu constantly looking to do damage. But once his ultimate is down, he just can't get in range. There's no opportunity for him to do so. And he's constantly playing this in and out, back and forth game. Even in this moment, once more, a Chu is full HP. And look how scared he is. Oh, well, we don't get to see the rest of the replay because the fight's coming in.
That shockwave! Bye-bye, a Chu! They're trying to get himself a lot here. Senkux is looking for PlayStation. PlayStation will lose his life to Maxi. And now, Wazor, you are next up to go down. Senkux goes legendary. As I was about to say, Barrage should just wait for the Barrett, for the Dragon. Get that, but I think they're just going to push it.
I mean, they want to look for an end, but they don't have a wave. And it's actually a great decision from Aaron to clear this top super minion wave, so they can't push with it. But I think the plan... You can't end in this situation. They might be looking for a second inhibitor, but this feels like... I personally would have just gone for the Dragon in this situation. I guess maybe concerned about soft stealing, but with the Kindred ult, you should be fine. But right now, you're not going to be able to end a Chu and PlayStation respawn, and the inhibitor being down isn't actually that much of a concern. Soft?
Able to jump away there, and now Barrage. They've got supers in the top lane, they've got supers in the mid lane, and it looks like it's time for them to move over and try and pick up this dragon, or at least contest it. They're going to start it up with Senkux, and Wonderbo's back.
Tricked aren't even contesting this. And that's game.
22 seconds until the Baron as well. Barrage can just push through and force at the Baron, or they can just push into the base. It's really up to them. They're going to go for the resets for the moment.
I think you just go Dragon, go to Baron, get Baron, go to End. I mean, I don't see a scenario where that doesn't work out for you now. Fortunately, we only got the later end of that replay, but a huge shockwave just to instantly decimate a Chew. And without him, even though things start to look like it could go in favor of Trick, without the Twitch, you're just not winning this. And again, this Twitch is not fed enough, and he's just unable to function these team fights. He's level 13. Pretty under-leveled at the moment. In terms of items, yes, he's even with Rye, but he's got cheaper items, and he doesn't have the extra Molten Edge coming out from the Ornn. And he has to carry. He has to be the one who does all the work in these team fights, and he's just unable to find the opportunities. The Orianna is so threatening to him.
Maxi took the red buff. I think that's fine. Baron's getting started up, and Elder Dragon plus Baron is just a Nexus exploding combination. Destiny's been used onto Doxy. Trickster not even contesting, and Doxy's too tanky. He's got a locket. He's got both his ornaments. You're not going to kill him.
Cloud Soul just runs off, runs away. Now they have Baron, Soul, and Elder. They don't win with this, then I'm not sure what more will take, but right now they have the super minion waves pushing in, and I think Barrage just look for the end and look to knock Tricked out the tournament. Needs a miracle from Trick to try and fight this one.
What about just checking the bush to see if anybody's waiting for a quick assassination? The respawn will come forward for the top lane inhibitor, but I don't think Barrage even need it. They may go for it though. Watch Chew on that flank. He's currently invisible.
I'm going to make a prediction. He pops out of stealth, he gets comboed by Senkux, and gets instantly blown up by the Elder Dragon.
Or Maxi just ults to make sure that no one dies to him, like he did last time.
One of the two.
They've got a few options to play around here. Curtain Call comes out, and Aaron's going to get chunked out pretty heavily here. Not enough to get the kill. One more shot. Comes out of soft, blocks this one up. The Call of the Forge God will follow up, and now the Chew's on that flank, looking for the invisibility, looking for the execute as Doxy gets it. Here's a Chew flashing out. Maxi pops the ultimate, and the Chew loses his life. Orcs, you are a prediction god. Wazor's ghost will go down. One last shot to Soft, and he'll be executed as well. The Nexus explodes. 32 minutes on the clock. 52 minutes combined for Tricked to be knocked out as Barrage go 2-0.
I mean, a really strong performance there from Barrage, proving why they are the favorites in the tournament. Even when we talk about how Tricked are also a strong contender, Barrage head and shoulders above the rest. I think they showed that there. Easy to execute teamfight compositions, because why not? Why make it difficult? But I think the thing we saw was Tricked, although we've seen good map play from them, although we've seen strength from them, kind of made some poor decisions in that one.
Yeah,
I think the prioritizing top lane, definitely a mistake, but they'll now bow out of the tournament, and Barrage looking like the front runners.
It's what we saw in game one, but just on a more Barrage leaning scale. Like, there were some good moves from Tricked, but Barrage answered out a lot better this time, and that really threw Trick for a loop. There were some really sloppy tower dives when they did try to put attention towards bot lane. So then they just went, well, let's go for top. But like I said, there's no Fiora. It's a Scion. What are you really going to gain up there? So for the side of Tricked, unfortunately, they are knocked out 0-2 as Barrage get himself another win and step closer towards taking the title. Now, guys, we're going to throw to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll have an interview ready. So we'll see you in a sec.
You're watching the NLC Fall Open, where we just saw Barrage take down Tricked in a very, I would say it was a very convincing manner, Goldborg.
Yeah, I mean, it looked close in the first series, and then it looked close for the first few minutes in this game as well, and then the ball just kind of got dropped out of nowhere. But I mean, had this been Tricked where we had seen them at NLC for a longer duration and not just immediately into quarters, I would be like, wow, they still have some really good fundamentals and they know what to work with. But the problem is they didn't have enough time to actually fix these issues here, and they just faltered to the better team today, which was Barrage.
Yeah, and these two teams were are the favorites, but now it's Barrage moving up forward to that semifinal. Jamada, do you think we're looking at the winner of the NLC Fall Open?
Realistically now, yeah. I've said pretty much from the get-go, I think Barrage, Tricked, two favorite teams to win the entire thing. With Tricked dropping out here, I don't think Barrage can lose a series to anybody left in the tournament. Like, it just seems so impossible to me now. Dusty on the other side, small chance, but even then, I just don't think they're quite on the same level.
Yeah, and let's find out what the thoughts are from their League of Legends manager. We're going to head on over to Frumi from Barrage. After that series, Frumi, how do you feel after that? And especially after that game one, because let's be fair, that was a bit shaky, to say the least.
Yeah, they had us in the first half, not going to lie. I feel relieved, to be honest. I thought it would be a tough series, and Trick definitely gave us a tough series. I think the scoreline flatters us with the 2-0, but I came into this tournament thinking that we had a really good chance of winning it, and I saw Trick as like the ones that could stop us because they looked really, really good and they hadn't made any changes from summer. So to take them down 2-0, it's just a relief more than anything, and I'm delighted to be going into the semifinals.
Yeah, because just talking about those chances, how do you see your chances moving forward now? Because you mentioned this as well, like when we've talked about it this on the desk as well, like Trick is a very interesting team, and this matchup was actually like, it was pretty hypey, and we saw both favorites in this best of three fighting it out. But now you move forward, how big are your chances when it comes to winning?
I'd like to think that we have it in us to win the tournament. Like I said, I thought Tricked were the hardest team in our path, and I was expecting to face them in the final and not in the quarters. I think next we're up against the winner of Unique and Ents, two good teams. But I think, the crowds will be expecting us to win, and I think we're expecting to give them that by taking it.
Looking at Barrages in Oregon, looking at the NLC this summer, that wasn't, quite the performance you would like to see as an organization. What would it mean to you guys if you took down the win?
We were very happy with summer. Coming top half was great for us, considering we were one of the orgs that had one of the lowest budgets in the league. So yeah, we were delighted with 2020 in terms of spring and summer as a whole. But obviously, the chance to win some silverware and bring a trophy to Barrage is massive, and I'm hoping we can do exactly that, because I think it'll propel the org forward for what we want to do in 2021, which is go to new heights again.
Yeah. My last question is going to be, what did you think about Jamada's prediction? He was the only one who was a bit delusional, to say the least.
Well, someone's got to spice it up, I suppose. Usually it's hit brain, and for once he actually voted for us, which is a surprise, because he never does, no matter what. I guess Jamada's trying to imitate that, but, it would be a bit boring if everyone voted for us, so I can understand it.
For me, thank you for your time, and good luck in the semis this weekend.
Thank you very much. Thanks for a great broadcast.
Yeah, Frumi being pretty happy with how their year has been so far. Do you think that's fair, Goldborg?
Yeah, for sure. He also, it's usually not something you talk about, but for budgetary reasons between organizations, there is a difference in our league. And I think they can be quite happy with the roster they have obtained this split, and they can be quite happy that they weren't one of the relegation teams last split. So for sure, you can be happy about the performance so far of 2020.
Yeah, I do want to touch upon that second game we just saw in this series. Barrage won eventually in the 2-0 score. That first game looked a bit shaky, but that second game was actually pretty good to see a Barrage that went on the snowballing. I would say a snowball. Wasn't even a snowball. It was more of a train, and that's kept going, Jamada. And especially the way they reacted to the level 1 from Tricked, I found very interesting.
Yeah, I think more or less the way that they reacted to the lane swap, it was really hard to react to something like that. I think the way that they reacted once the lanes were back into normal assignments was fantastic. They still ended up with the early dragon, but I really have to throw up a few question marks about the decisions that were made by Tricked as well for like certain tower dives. They never really quite executed on said tower dives, and it cost them a lot because they weren't able to put gold in the pockets of, realistically, they had to put all the gold into Archie, right? You're running what is sort of, in a way, a pseudo one carry composition or a pseudo one hyper carry composition with the Twitch, and everyone else had to supplement that, but they could never funnel the gold into him, and it kind of just fell apart from there.
Yeah, good work. There were a lot of things that happened during that game. Jamada touched upon a lot of things, but there was one point for you that was like, this is the play of the match.
Yeah, for sure. And it comes just after what I'm like, okay, Barrage just threw this game. It's wide open again. And immediately when I use that thought process, they just strike back. Twitch and PlayStation here are just a bit too far forward, and a great shockwave. Notice the flash from Sengox here. It's just beautiful. It's just a small one-bug combo you can appreciate. It's the most simplest thing that can happen in the solo queue. It can happen in competitive, and every time it happens, you just indulge in it.
Yeah, those team fights were wonderful. I thought we were talking about that as well, Jamada. Like the team fights from Barrage looked so clean at some points. I mean, there were, I would say, some issues here and there, but overall, team fights look very good.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you play against a champion like Twitch, it's not something that you necessarily scrim against a lot as well. So, you know, Archu coming out at weird angles, out of stealth, like it can catch you off guard, especially when you're talking about a best of 3 series where you're playing to secure the win, right? You're already 1-0 up. So sometimes it feels weird. You have to sort of play in a certain way where it's like, he could always be here. And that's kind of how you have to play against it. But yeah, they navigated a lot of the fights really well when it came down to outright 5v5s. And I mean, that was kind of the difference maker at the end of the day, right? Tricked fumbled the execution. Barrage picked up what Tricked fumbled and they turned it into a win.
Yeah, Barrage moving up to that semifinal. We have another best of 3 coming up. It's going to be Viking versus Dusty Goldborg. A bit of a mismatch, you would say.
I think that, and it also shows in the predictions, whereas it was a bit more competitive in the first series, I think we can... It's an underdog story for Viking. They really have to bring their A game today because they have a tall task towards them today, facing Dusty, who's pretty much the other side of the bracket's favorite to reach the final.
Yeah, we're going to dive into that much deeper after we come back. We'll be heading over to a break for a little bit. And when we come back, it's time for our second best of 3 of the night. It's going to be Viking Esports taking on Dusty.